Well,
Hey,
not a lot of rust on these fellas, huh?
Jesus, they hit the ground running, I would say. Gee,
Mhm.
that was fabulous.
Yeah, what a way to start a tour. Um, one of our callers to Tales from the Golden Road the other day, I think, tried a touch of gray prediction for a tour opener, and that was the one.
There's somebody, after all of the weather delays and stuff, somebody I know was thinking that Bertha would be a good call, doubly apropos since it has all that test me stuff in it as well as the rain. But hey,
Yeah,
we got a lovely touch of gray into a kick ass and an extended shakedown street with some really fun business at the end. That was nice to hear.
yeah. Of course, touch of gray is very apt because "We Will Get By" has been kind of an article of faith for a lot of us over the past year and a half. So well chosen, boys. And then an old reliable deal, which John Mayer just sings and plays the hell out of. Um, a great Tennessee Jed. Uh, Brown Eyed Women, and man, when Jeff and John get to trade in choruses, that's when I am in the happiest of places. I'll tell you.
That was a pretty fine set in every way, I got to say. And then, of course,
Yeah,
they wrapped it up with New Speedway Boogie.
yes, indeed. And
Well,
this is our first halftime show, although it's going to be a truncated one. This is what we were calling Dead Air with Lambert and Gans. I'm Lambert, he's Gans, and I'm in New York City on the beloved couch. He is in his lovely house in Oakland, California. And we're
that's
going to be doing this for the whole tour. Yeah,
our original plan was to have a special guest schmoozer in this slot, but because of the weather delays and stuff that happened at the site tonight, the break is going to be very short. So we removed our guest and postponed that until Wednesday's show. But if all goes well, going forward, this program will include a special guest schmoozer, so it won't just be the two of us the whole time.
that's right. But man, the moment I saw those guys on that stage doing that thing, I was so filled with joy. And of course, the audience reaction shots only magnify that. The people who are seeing it in real time in the real place is so wonderful, so heartwarming. This is what drew us all together and continues to do so. And we look forward to that happening all through the tour.
It's a I'm glad, there's so much uncertainty in our business right now and so much uncertainty in this country and in this culture. And we've seen some setbacks in the attempting to reopen kind of world. So I appreciate the fact that this is being done on this scale and that they're able to control, making sure that people are safe getting in and out, and that being there isn't a dangerous thing as well. So I appreciate the lengths to which everybody is going to make this a safe and sane gathering in every way, so you can go insane with the music on its terms.
Indeed, and I'm happy to see that being adopted by bands and by venues and by promoters all over the country, taking every possible safety precaution, because this is about pleasure and it shouldn't be about pain for anybody or anybody getting sick. So we completely support these initiatives that are being taken, and we thank the musicians and all involved for seeing to it that it's being done. Hey, one of the things we're going to be doing during this tour is calling attention to some causes that are very important to us, very important to the band, very important to our community. First and foremost among these, the charity that has been associated with the Grateful Dead for going on 4 decades, the Rex Foundation. There will be
Yes.
a presence at all the shows. Participation row is going again at the shows. Uh, Head count will be there. The Rex Foundation will be there, and local charities will be set up. So if you're going to shows, we encourage you to visit Participation Row, and they ask you to participate not just by making donations, but by committing to volunteer, to help the good works along. And if you live in the Raleigh area, you might want to check out those specific charities. And in each place the band is playing, there will be a local focus on some of the charities there. And my earbud just fell out, so I will put it back in while you vamp, David.
And this community has always been really, really good at taking care of one another. That's one of the founding principles. Remember, the Grateful Dead began playing in a neighborhood. It happened to be a very hip neighborhood not far from San Francisco State College. And a lot of people were living there because the rents were cheap. And a lot of people were playing. The bands that came up out of there all started playing for their own communities there in the Fillmore. And it became this immense global phenomenon, and the Grateful Dead kind of wound up being the heirs to all that hippie culture that sprang up in that time. And that means that we're all trying to keep alive those thoughts and those principles and those concepts of taking care of each other. And that's what all these charities do. The Rex Foundation was formed because the Grateful Dead had, for the entire history of the band, they had been doing benefits, and they had so many requests to do benefits, and they did so many benefits that they decided to form a nonprofit to receive and distribute the funds generated from their nonstop benefit concerts. And so that tradition began with the Grateful Dead in the very beginning, has continued all the way through. As Gary said, they're coming up on 40 years of philanthropy, and a lot of it, most of it, is on very small scale projects that have trouble getting funded otherwise. And that's always been one of the things that they stay away from the big ticket items, and they look at small grassroots organizations that really, really, really need the help, for whom 10 grand is like a huge, amount.
Indeed. And one of the organizations that the band has supported since its origins is Headcount. Started, I think we're going on 20 years of Headcount now. I know that Rat Dog did one of the very first Headcount benefits, the first one that I attended anyway. And Headcount is an organization dedicated to encouraging participation in democracy and, at this moment, defending democracy in places where voter suppression laws are being passed and all that. That's a controversial issue to some. It isn't to me, because participation in democracy is absolutely fundamental to the whole concept of community. If you want to make things better, you've got to make your voice heard. And doing that at the ballot box is one of many ways.
I am a proud boomer, and I got to vote in 1972 because they changed the law to allow 18 and over people to vote. So I was 19 on election day in 1972, and I have never missed an election since. Every election at every level matters. School boards, special districts that you're a part of, all of those things, because a lot of times ideologically driven people infiltrate those things, and they take these sort of seemingly inconsequential roles and start making changes and stuff. So I've often said, when people say, I don't want to be on a jury, it's just because jury duty is such a pain in the neck. I always say to people, well, how would you feel if all the people like you had opted out when you were on trial? Wouldn't you want people that feel like you to be on those juries? So I feel that same way about voting. If you think that it's a waste of your time, I beg to differ. And this is an entirely nonpartisan thing, by the way. Headcount doesn't direct you or advocate for any particular political party. Headcount is all about the franchise and the obligation, right, and sacred mission of all of us to create a society together. And the vote is one of the ways in which we see to it that it looks more like us than like people we disagree with.
And let me say, if your only political engagement in life is to wish to smoke weed without getting thrown in prison for years and years, that's the result of participation in democracy. People voted people into state legislatures who voted to legalize medical and later recreational marijuana use in state after state after state. Ultimately, the federal laws will change because people participate in democracy. So if you say you're not involved in politics, politics gets involved in you, because you might get busted and you might come up before an unsympathetic judge or jury. And we know that people were sentenced to like life in prison for being a 3-time loser on nonviolent offenses. There were a lot of pardons a few years ago, and friends of ours got out because of reforms in the law. So this is all really important stuff, and it's all part of this concept of participating in community. And Deadheads have always had that community vibe about them. And we are so proud of the people who work to preserve that.
Yes, indeed. So we're, the info is right there on the screen below us there. There's a way to link to make a direct donation to the Rex Foundation. There will soon be a link to get to headcount.org. And Headcount also sets up these things. They set up contests. They've given away like autographed guitars and lots of really cool prizes. And they also have a vote pin that they're giving away at the booth. They posted a link to it on Twitter the other day. So there are, there are volunteer missions that you can take on for Headcount. You can get into shows for free by going to work the table and things like that. So there is a little bit of your own interest involved as well as community interest. But truth is, here I am with that old boomer thing again. But our interests and the community interests coincide a lot, and that's the thing. There's an awful lot of impetus for people to sort of defend their right to be a total asshole in society these days. And we all do have that right. But most of us have the good grace not to exercise it very often. So that's kind of all we're asking, is that you look out for one another. That's been a watchword of hippiedom since there has been a hippiedom.
Yes, and while David mentions our boomerdom, and that is undeniable, I also want to say I've been so proud of young people getting more and more engaged. Record numbers of young voters turned out in the last election, and
Yes.
I meet really, really socially conscious, passionate young people all the time. So this is not just a message to us geezers. This is for all of you out there to encourage your friends. Peer pressure really works. You can convince your friends that it's really cool to get engaged in your community, in local issues, and make a difference. We know that we can make a difference. We've been seeing it for years through the Rex Foundation. We see that Headcount makes a difference. And as this tour goes on, and as these programs go on at halftime, we are going to be spotlighting some of the charities that have been designated for support by Rex and by Headcount. We're going to have representatives on from Headcount and Rex. We'll have more time in most of the breaks, we think. This is a very abbreviated break tonight, but so we will be furnishing you with valuable information and resources that will help you help make a difference.
What he said. We should talk about music now. Let's go back to talking about music. We're at the beginning of a very, very long season of Dead and Company. There's like 10 weeks of gigs ahead of us here. It's so nice that this is happening again. We went without this for too long. I noticed that the last music from Dead and Company that I had in my stash was from January of 2020. That's a long time to go without. Fortunately, we've had some stuff happening. We had those live streaming events from Billy and the Kids and from Bobby and the Wolf Bros. So, and on the local level, people are trying to get back to work, but people are also noticing it's not quite 100% safe yet. So we should also encourage everybody to be very, very careful in their interactions with each other while this COVID thing is still a big issue, and be very, very thankful to all the people that are seeing to it that it is safe and sanitary to go to this concert.
Yeah, it takes an incredible amount of hard work, an incredible amount of coordination and cooperation with the communities the band is coming into. So we really hope that, everyone shows that appreciation, shows respect for the music, shows respect for the venues and all that. Treat each other really kindly when you're together. And that's like, Mickey's final message at Fare Thee Well, just be kind. Can't beat that.
Hey, freaking men.
Go ahead. We're awaiting word for when the band is walking back to the stage. So far, we have a little more leeway than we expected. So we have to come up with things to say. But that's okay. That's our job. we are really happy to be here. As David said, fundamentally, it's about the music. And that was as strong an opening set of a tour as I can recall hearing in a while, especially after the opportunity to accumulate so many cobwebs that these musicians have had since January of 20. They really, I know they did some rehearsing a few weeks ago at TRI, and they seem very ready, very raring to go. And I'm wondering if maybe the remarkable circumstances of this tour might really make the focus so totally on the music. Touring can be a very distracting endeavor. You know, you go backstage at the break and there's a million people who want to schmooze, and musicians will often do meet and greets with some of the charities. In fact, all of that has been kind of wiped out by this. So it makes for a very almost monastic atmosphere before the show and backstage during the breaks. So it is all about the music for these guys. They are there to do the job, and the job is to play music as good as what we just heard.
Yes, indeed. And so far, they're off to a great start. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah. We get set lists, so we actually know what comes next, which takes a little of the fun out of it.
Man, I wasn't even going to tell that we knew that. I want
sorry.
to be surprised.
Yeah, it's kind of a logistical necessity in this medium for us to know when the set's going to end and all that. And I've already heard some good guesses as to what's going to start the second set. What is going to start the second set is not what I expected, but I'm really happy with it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I think this band's going to be making some really cool creative choices during this tour. That's the way I'm kind of feeling that. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's in the ready to get back to it. We have no idea when they're coming back to, when they're taking us off, do we?
We don't really. It's been a longer break than we originally expected, but yeah, that's okay.
Oh man,
how's life at home, David?
What caused that? You just went out of focus.
That's only on our that's the feed we're seeing. That's not the feed the public's seeing. We have a lower res thing going on.
No, you just went out of focus on the screen.
Yeah,
that's
but that is this lower res feed that we are getting as a technological necessity.
On that, but it's lower res than it was a minute ago. Anyway, it's even lower res is what I'm telling you. Anyway, we're just bullshitting to fill up the space right now because we're awaiting a signal for when the band is going to be coming back. And this is the first time we're doing this here. And we're usually in the life that Gary and I have together on the air, we can usually go to a phone call right now, but we didn't line up any phone calls for this. So we're really just having to fill the space and try and see how clever we can become. This will get better over the course of this, I promise.
Yeah, and I've done most of my live remotes from the shows. So this is a little bit of a challenge in that area because we're looking at our texts. We are, I've got one eye on the TV set, but the TV set is like, I think about a minute and a half behind what we're doing right now. Very
just got word we're like walking to the stage.
Okay, well, that's kind of a relief because we were ill prepared. But this is going to get better and better. It'll be like a Swiss watch, as Bob Weir likes to say. But in the meantime, we are just waiting for the word that we can get out of here and the band can get back to what you want to see the most. In the meantime, once again, if you're just tuning in,
you can buy the pay-per-views at nugs.net, and you can watch set one on demand if you missed it. That's right, because this is partly going out as a free sample of the tour, right? People will see the first song and our thing. It's part of this is to get people interested in signing up to subscribe to the thing. So you can buy show by show, I think, and you can buy the entire tour at nugs.net. So we should remind people that if you're enjoying this as part of the free feed, a paid stream and subscription is available at nugs.net.
All right. And we highly recommend it. These shows are so beautifully shot and transmitted. I think back to the days, and we've had opportunities to see old Grateful Dead shows, which were essentially put on video just so the people in the venue could see the feed to the video screens. And the early days of it were very primitive. Like just 3 cameras, low light, because it wasn't being lit as a TV show, it was being lit as a concert. Now the cameras are much better at capturing low light. The camera work is beautiful. The sound quality is fantastic. So I definitely recommend it. Yes.
It's also available in 4K now. So for people with the high-end video systems, they are now transmitting in 4K.
They just keep adding K's and G's and everything to our life, and it makes everything brighter and clearer. Anyway, we can get out of here pretty soon. We're told the band is walking back toward the stage, ambling back toward the stage, just to spite us. But we are looking forward to the second set as much as you are, and we're going to be back every night of the tour. I guess we'll start off by recapping the second set before we go on Wednesday. We can sort of do a little daisy chain of stuff. In the meantime, we are learning how to do this as we go along. It's new to us, but anyway, we are happy to be here.
Jacob. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you from Virginia on Wednesday. Enjoy the second set.